Do you know the CEO of a company is getting highly paid when compared to the junior employees of that particular company between the year 2012 and 2022? As you see for Infosys, in 2012 it was 80 lakhs and today it's about 80 crores. At the same time, the freshers annual pay is about 2.75 lakh per annum in 2022 and it's just 3.6 lakhs. The CEO pay is much higher than the freshers pay. The fundamental thing is that the freshers who comes out of these engineering colleges are really upset on this. The world has changed, and in this video we are going to unlock why it's happening so. So all the people around us, the cousins, nephews are talking that they are working in XYZ companies. Even colleges these days, the big tech companies hire from them. Jobs is considered to be the hottest over the last 3 decades. But the present scenario is not the same. According to the data from the All India Council of Technical Education, 38% of engineers didn't get campus placement in 2017, and in 2018 it has rose to nearly 58%. With the data during the COVID times, it was not of doubt that it was alarming than this. Now imagine the state of a student spending 4 years in an engineering college, going for exams, undertaking the assignments and doing all the submissions on time, and realizing that the annual package is not actually meeting what is being designed in their minds. In case of the software engineers who are doing the quality of the engineers coming out of the average engineering colleges should be improvised to a great extent. Unless and until the quality is not getting improvised, they shouldn't expect for a higher package. As time passes, AI is getting better and people are getting worse. That's my worry. But let's understand the context and figure out how India actually got out here. So how does India started to export engineers to the world in the first phase? Probably it was through 3 major events. The first event was the entry of IBM into India. After India's independence, Jawaharlal Nehru invited IBM to set up its operations in India. Now if you are young who is hearing me, IBM's name won't be much familiar to you. You probably don't recognize it. But IBM was one of the big tech companies in the world. IBM used to make the mainframe computers, the big computers that could occupy the size of a room and which could cost nearly 25 lakhs in 1970s. You know, they were mainly used for data processing and transaction handling in 70s. India had hundreds of them, specifically in banks and educational institutions and some government agencies. But the question is, who is operating this? See, the regular people back in those days were not knowing how to operate the computers. The demand for the skill to operate these computers has just started increasing and the supply was literally of non-existence. This was the first wave of demand that the IBMs have created for computer operators and programmers who know the common business-oriented language called the COBOL. You probably don't know COBOL because it's so old. But see the old times of India, there were 1,000 programmers that were needed in those times. And when there is a demand of job, it rippled the effect of educational institutions, training institutes and training people for all of these jobs. It was not true, it is not essentially true back then that it was possible to self-learn the computer science, but nobody had computers in their hands all the time. You need a college or a specialized equipment or a specialized institution to know about this particular monopoly. And the educational institution at that time said, come on, we will teach you the particular skill and you can get a job that nobody else can get. In another sense, the second part of is that the IBM's exit. In 1973, IBM in India has completely taken a different path because of the introduction of Foreign Exchange Relations Act. According to New York Times, the act required most foreign companies to get diverse or to get rid of or 60% of the equities in subsidiaries to the Indian shareholders by the end of 1977. So IBM had 2 shares now. Either list the company in the Indian stock market or direct share as making the main shareholder an Indian. I would prove that IBM had a third option that they left India. IBM has left, they left behind a problem that who on earth would service and maintain these computers that comes as a necessity in the mother of all inventions. In 1980s, Indian startups like HCL came out and then followed by Wipro, Infosys and TCS that they started with these mainframe computers and then migrated to software. That is when the problem pattern of the software wasn't there when compared to the present. We would have put in your computer either with a floppy disk or with the CD. So not only the software has to be created, it also needs to be distributed. It became very hard to learn. So a lot of people in India, people like Narayana Murthy, realized that there is an opportunity to create a league of software engineers. To create a league of software engineers here and export the skills as companies across the world, where these companies handle the distribution of the software and they contract the companies in India to do it. But as you know, software doesn't get behind offline. It didn't stuck around floppy disk or CD. On the other hand, it went online. That was the rise of the cloud softwares, and companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro suddenly found themselves excellently positioned. They had a league of old school software developers, and these software engineers got a transition from writing codes that operates locally to the ones that's operating on cloud. So they use the skills for many of the businesses across the world, and in result, India sealed its position as the back office to the world. The third catalyst that was acting was the crisis called the Y2K. As the world transitioned from 1900s to 2000, people were worried that the systems that uses 2 digits make mistake from 2000 to 1990. It seems driven out by having a wrong data on computer, especially in banking systems, could create a massive disaster. People were literally losing their minds. The fact that they got involved was that there was a huge demand of programmers. The time went actually to satisfy the demand, because at the point they had moved from teaching COBOL and colleges stopped teaching it. India found an opportunity again. This was one of the places in India were slightly in the past or with engineering colleges, because they were able to rightly put in COBOL and they had already adapted to the IBM computers. See, now there is a lot of demand and people across India worked in a manner that it could actually outsource softwares leading up to 2000s. From 1996 onwards, Indian companies started to solve problems for American Airlines, Tobacco Major and Philip Morris. At this time, the demand of programmers were absolutely on steroids. It was the most mindful place to be, where computer training institutes like NIIT and AppTech were running special courses, and it was to pump out thousands of extra programmers. And these were the ones who were selling to the companies like TCS, Wipro and Infosys. They were the ones who was generating software engineers along with many of the Indian colleges. And that's where the software engineers are going to be important. In 1997, Indian software exports touched $1 billion mark, and today the exports are about $178 billion. But right now there is a problem. The equation is reversed, because the demand of engineers got reduced over the last 3 to 4 years, because the supply has inflated like anything. Because we have to understand this rate. Many of the good institutes has came out that it was actually tough to get a computer center open and running, which is operational nearly 20 or 30 years ago. Having internet access at the college was considered to be a great deal at the time. In fact, BSNL came to India. Here was the price, and this is what they charged for the bandwidth. Today, with the same bandwidth, you can use very less. But over the time, 2 things has happened. One was a lot of people were able to self-learn the softwares, that they were able to learn it online. So the result in the supply has increased. At the same time, many of the engineering colleges has got complacent. A lot of the real estate owners, probably in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, has came forward, and they were telling that I have a lot of land, I don't know what to do with this particular land. So let me take a teacher and start a college. So a lot of colleges has came and provided leverage to people in the early days of computer science engineering, and the leverage was that I got access to the recruitment. I got access to the professors who had worked with the IBM technology that no one else have worked with, and these people will also put me directly in IBM because they have a good relationship with the IBM. So the things started to change now. It is absolute ridiculous competition now and very little supply of jobs. I saw a picture in the social media recently that the kid in the state of complaining. The first recruiter is almost 6 months now that they have visited the college. There were 600 people sitting in the auditorium applying for just 5 slots that the company has opened. Infosys knows that 20% of the people that they hire are going to leave every year. The answer to here is that the talent from the colleges should be correctly trained. Otherwise, you also should be in a position to take all this headache of your own. Now, what is the solution for all this? I used to work with many founders and co-founders in which they tell me that the hiring process is so quick. What I'm against is that the quality of content needs to be elevated because there is no place for networking. That's a big problem. So we are here to say, no matter success or failure, everything around you should start interacting because networking has a greater power to do with it. You go to your phones and you watch videos, isn't it? The next phase of artificial intelligence is getting developed in a manner as if like it's going to build the foundation of computer science. So it's obvious that the next breed of people should be created from time to time manner. And if you're doing the same repetitive job, you're going to get replaced. So try exploring what you have been good at. Try exploring what skills that you are having. When you're going to a college, make in mind that there is no average college in India. The average college in India looks like there is a problem, and this is leading to below average where there is oversupply of talents. So the best thing that you can start doing is that start preparing for the future. Future readiness is the key. Thank you for watching this video till this particular point. If you like this video, please press the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, just press the subscribe button and the bell button so that you can see all my future videos. Wishing you only the best and see you in my next video. Bye bye.